Hello Rajiv ji, Kamil here from merasangeet.com and a warm welcome to you today once again on our show Chatting Chai.
Thank you very much, Kavalji. Pranam, how are you?
Very well, thank you Rajiv ji. How have you been? How's been the week?
Oh, so far so good. The immigration saga continues.
Right.
If I may just take 1 minute, there isn't much to report other
Mm-hmm.
than to say that, as we had discussed, I'll just do a quick recap that
Right.
in the two houses of the legislature in the US, there is considerable difference in their approach towards immigration reform. And then
Mm-hmm.
on top of that, we've got two parties, the conservatives, the Republicans, and the Democrats, who are the liberals. So
Right.
the Democrats and the Republicans have their own differences. Conservatives are much more interested in very strong border control. Democrats are much more oriented towards providing benefits as early as possible to all the people who are here illegally.
Okay.
Most of our listeners who are legal in this country and are interested in knowing what happens to them in their legal categories, those categories are so far more or less unchanged from the original videos that I had recorded. I'll
Mm-hmm.
do another recording once I understand that these laws are getting someplace. As of this morning, the report is, as Kavalji, you had forwarded a link to me just a minute ago about
Right.
President Obama meeting with some of the. Uh, hang on 1 second.
Sure.
President Obama meeting with some of the,
Indian American business
well,
leaders.
actually, business leaders in general, out of which two were Indian Americans.
Okay.
The role of White House has been rather limited in this whole effort. They have
Mm-hmm.
provided support to the effort behind doors, but not really openly. There isn't much they can do. There is some criticism of President Obama that he has not used his presidential powers enough. Nevertheless, where we are today is that the conservatives, which is the Republicans in the Senate, are appear to be getting more entrenched in their position, which makes the passage of the bill with a large number of votes unlikely. But every day the situation changes. So if the bill passes from Senate with a large majority, 70 votes, then House is likely to pass it the way it is. But right now the House is still inclined to go in the direction of passing small bills instead of a large comprehensive bill. They want to do it piecemeal, brick by brick. So it'll be very interesting how this thing turns out. And once again, when I mentioned the word interesting, I know people's lives depend upon this. It is not interesting in the sense of watching, I don't know, a cricket match or a soccer match. It's interesting in the sense the academic side of anybody who's involved in this process would be peaked. Our interest is peaked because we don't know which way it's going to go eventually. So right now,
Okay.
as of today, situation is still uncertain. Is it going to pass? Is it going to pass? When is it going to pass? Some people are saying maybe in next year. I've been hearing, at least from the Democratic leadership, they have been giving statements that we want to get this passed by August 5th. So we'll see what happens. That's where we
All right.
are, again, as last week, uncertain.
All right. Rajiv ji, moving on now. We have some queries from our listeners here on Mera Sangeet.
Go ahead, Kamalji.
The first query here is from a listener who says, my company is processing my H-1B application. Is there any information regarding dependents that will be accompanying H-1B applicant to the United States at the time of filing the petition? And what is the process to apply for dependent visa H-4 for my spouse?
It's a very, very good question, and actually a very important issue that gets slipped sometimes, and that can
Uh-huh.
cause major, major problems. So, whether or not your dependents, excuse me, will be included in your filing for H1 depends upon whether they are in the United States or outside USA. If they are outside USA, nothing will get filed here. Once your
Mm-hmm.
H1 is approved, you will send your papers to them, they will apply for an H4 visa and come in. If they are in the
Okay.
United States, then certain paperwork has to be filed. Form I-539 for them has to be filed either along with your paperwork or soon thereafter. So the
Okay.
answer depends upon whether they are in the US. If they are in the US, you will be filing something right now. If they are outside US, it'll be done later.
All right, okay. So, moving on to another question here, Rajiv ji. This is from a listener here who says, I have been here in the United States for about 5 years, I'm not a citizen, but my husband is a citizen here in the United States. My children were born here, and we've been here based out of the US for this number of years. I just wanted to know, my parents and my family members have been frequenting me in the sense that they've come over to visit me. But is there any way that I can get my friend over for a short visit? Would it be only tourist visa, or is there any way that I can go ahead and sponsor for her?
Friends can only be invited on a tourist visa. And for a tourist visa, there really is no particular requirement. Some people will
Mm-hmm.
send an invitation letter which the friend will take into the consulate. Some people will also send an affidavit of support, form I-130,
Mm-hmm.
I-134.
Mm-hmm.
But there is really no particular requirement for applying for a tourist visa. Even if your friend goes in without any documentation and tries for it, sometimes they might be able to get it. The key issue the consulate focuses on is what their ties in India are. If they have a good job, they're working, their chances of getting a tourist visa are better with or without your letter and affidavit of support.
All right, okay. So, Rajesh, these were the queries sent in by our listeners for this week.
Always a pleasure, Kamalji. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Rajesh, for all your time and for answering these queries. Thank you so much again.
My
Have a
pleasure.
good day.
My pleasure. Bye bye.
Bye bye, Rajesh.